A few of our key reasons included the cost of ownership of our mainframe, which we knew was way more expensive than other software solutions we might be able to implement, as well as a retiring workforce. We have a large contingent of our COBOL developers who are planning to or ready to retire at any moment, and so we knew we had to move away from that expensive legacy system and into a modern system. So our driving factors for selecting Asysco over other potential vendors and even other potential options included the fact that we could go from our COBOL, our mainframe COBOL, to our AMT COBOL solution. So that COBOL to COBOL transition for our developers and for our business staff was an important piece. Another one was a culture match between the two companies. We have a very similar expectation of dedication to the work and a completion rate that mattered a whole lot for us. We heard from Asysco and heard from several previous companies that they had worked with that it was a successful migration and that the companies worked well together. That's important to us because we knew it was going to be a long process of changing from a mainframe over to a server-based environment. Well, can I start with absolute success?
Yeah.
But in all honesty, our result was a like for like or similar but not the same system. So our business was able to continue with almost no interruption in service over a weekend, after a weekend go live, and our IT was able to continue to develop with something familiar while still knowing that underneath all of that, we're on a familiar Microsoft platform. I would say that it was in line with our expectations, but it exceeded our hopes. So for us, we were always skeptical. You're always skeptical about what you get sold until you actually see it come to fruition. And for us, we had heard from other companies that the go live event and the post migration was a positive interaction, but until you experience that, you really can't know just how good or how bad it's going to be. And for us, it turned out phenomenal. We had a weekend event and then we went live, and there was no interruption to our business members at all. They were able to continue with their work the very next day. Well, I think we learned a few things. For me as the project manager, I learned just how valuable communication is. We spent a lot of time making sure that we set clear, reasonable expectations for our IT staff and for our business users. We didn't want to oversell or undersell what we were getting out of this migration. And so it became very important that as the dates came closer to our go live and our post go live, we spent a lot of time meeting with managers, with our line staff, making sure that they understood what to expect and what to look for in the event of a problem. Well, we experienced it with a lot of preparation. We spent several weeks, maybe even up to months, prepping for our go live through dress rehearsals, and then into the actual go live event. We had planned the entire weekend down to almost the minute. Through practice, we knew exactly how long it was going to take to extract our files, extract our databases, and then move into reintegrating all of our integrating applications with AMT on production versus our mainframe. And it took us from Friday at noon until Sunday at about 7 p.m. But ultimately, over the course of that weekend, most of our time was spent checking boxes and saying, yep, that's done. Yes, that's done. Yes, that's done. And we never really hit a point where we didn't know what to do or we didn't know how to solve a problem. We experienced one critical defect during our go live process, which was resolved within about an hour and a half due to a collaborative exercise between Modern Woodmen's IT staff and the staff from Asysco who were on site with us. And that by itself is a testament to how well we had planned and then executed that plan for Go Live weekend. So the migration itself has provided us more direct access to our data and to our data structures so that we can begin looking at how might we do things now in this new system with access to data in ways that we never could before. Perhaps one of our biggest thing is because we're inside of SQL now, we can query that directly. We don't have to use mainframe specific coding to reach that data. Additionally, we're beginning to look at how might we integrate with AMT in different ways, things that just did not exist. There's only a couple pathways into the mainframe. There's multiple pathways into AMT, and we can begin automating things that we just could not automate before. I think from a business perspective, the positive and fortunate thing here is that AMT provides a very similar experience to our mainframe environment. Our availability and uptime of our system is similar to what our mainframe was, and that provides a consistency that our business users expect. And in fact, they require it most often because we have specific business hours, we have specific times that certain events need to take place, and we can recreate what we built on the mainframe within AMT, usually a little bit easier on the support side for our staff. They're able to work in an environment that allows them to develop faster. We're developing new products now that we could not do before in less than a year. We're now 6 months in, we've finished development, and we're moving into quality assurance, which is a significant gain in speed for our staff. I certainly would. I feel very lucky to have had the opportunity to work with Asysco. We did a lot of research before we ever selected Asysco, and before we even selected a migration as an option for our company. And it was a difficult journey. There's no doubt about it. There were 2 years of work for us. But to convert 50 years of wait in 2 years is impressive, to say the least, and fantastic for what our company was looking for. We were looking for a way to migrate off of our mainframe, reduce the weight of our legacy system, improve the knowledge of our new and current staff, and then prepare for modernization in the future. And we've been able to do that, so I would absolutely recommend that to other companies. Yeah, so initially we had a lot of resistance from our COBOL team. Change is hard, change is difficult, and it's often feared. No matter where you are in an enterprise, it's difficult. But as we went through the migration process itself, Cisco provided training for our staff, which we then turned into, we took a small group through a Cisco's training and then took that group and said, okay, now develop a full training regimen tailored to Modern Woodmen, to Modern Woodmen developers, and push them through that as we got close to go live. And over the past few weeks, months now, that we've been on the AMT system, our developers have realized that they didn't lose anything with this AMT COBOL transition. In fact, they've begun to harness the power of a modern integrated development environment where they can do things like IntelliSense typing and suggested responses, relationships between databases and programs that just did not exist without prior knowledge and expertise that had to be built over years. You can now see that inside of the development environment almost instantly. And so our developers, we sort of expected a relatively large dip in productivity right after we went live with AMT. We were expecting it, as Cisco had warned us about it, that there's a potential there for that dip. And we did not see that. It was a very, very minor dip for us as they got used to the development environment, but because they were already in the code, they knew, because it was COBOL to COBOL for us, that made their transition much easier, much more accepting of that process, because they didn't have to learn a new programming language. They didn't have to learn how to access SQL. They were still accessing it the same way inside of their programs that they always had. And that made the transition easier for them. And we've started seeing them actually develop faster. We've started our new product development, and we're certainly further along at a faster pace than we've ever been before on new products.
We've been in the AMT environment for approximately 3 to 4 months, 5 months, and we're seeing direct benefit already. We're in the process of developing a new product, which one of the goals of being in the AMT, Asysco environment, was speed to market. And we're already recognizing the benefits there with the additional development tools we've never had before, and we're seeing direct results from that already today. And when you look at the runtime between the mainframe world and the server world, we're actually back to where we were previously, and we're extremely pleased with the performance of the AMT environment.